today at 7:57 p.m. It is now 10:55 p.m. On Thursday, today, Michigan closed down its Capitol building and canceled its legislative session after online death threats made against Governor Gretchen Whitmer. So, if you guys don't know, I live in the state of Michigan, and everybody and their mom apparently hates Gretchen Whitmer because of her, quote-unquote, draconian adjacent, policies when it comes to combating COVID-19. But, you know, whatever. The threats were made by protesters who plan to attend a Judgment Day protest at the Capitol. The protesters ostensibly oppose Whitmer's statewide shutdown orders meant to slow the spread of coronavirus. Dozens of posts in private invitation-only Facebook groups called for Whitmer to be hanged, lynched, shot, beaten, or beheaded. One suggested crowdfunding sources to hire a hitman to kill her. Alright, I gotta agree. That's kind of taking it a little too far. I mean, you gotta remember, I mean, if I had to choose between
headquarters,
keeping my livelihood and keeping my life, I would choose keeping my life over keeping my livelihood any day.
Humble pie, asshole. Get a move on. We're taking the HQ.
We haven't had any bloodshed yet, but the populace is counting to 3. Yesterday was 2.
We're at the HQ. Stand by.
Rodeo Meisenheimer, 385,000 member group called Michiganders with Gen 6 of quarantine. I'm all for reopening the states, but don't do anything too. Really is no way to please everybody. Situation. You're gonna make people mad if you open up the states too early. You're gonna make people mad if you don't open up the states early enough. It's just a mess.
Enemies trying to shut down our HQ.
Next comes the watering of the Tree of Liberty with the blood of tyrants, he concluded. Numerous other posts referred to Whitmer as a Nazi, spawn of the devil, wicked witch, Soros puppet, baby killer tyrant, and more, according to the Detroit Metro Times. Others promised to attend upcoming protests armed to the teeth and without face masks, threatening to attack any police officers who dare to confront them. Like I said, that's going too far. I'm all for... I'm all for people, like, exercising the right to keep and bear arms. I'm all for people's right to freedom of speech, freedom to...
HQ is online.
freedom of assembly. The right to protest. Yeah, we shouldn't be taking those things away, but if you're literally just going to attack police officers that try to, you know, be rational with you,
HQ is on. No reinforcements.
then you deserve everything that's going to come to you. You deserve every single legal repercussion that's going to come your way. Governor Whitmer and Attorney General Dana Nessel have considered banning firearms from the Capitol building, but are awaiting the 6-member Michigan State Capitol Commission to figure out if they have the legal authority to do so. If I'm not mistaken, aren't firearms not legally allowed in government buildings?
HQ disabled. Get ready to move out.
Unless they're like
ready to move.
military. Even then, I'm not entirely sure like what the rules are with that. There's got to be some sort of rules laying out who can and can't have weapons in the freaking Capitol building. At least the state capitals. Because I mean, it's not. I don't think it counts as like a federal building, so you can't really say it's because it's run by the state government.
HQ is online, securing.
Like I said, I'm not entirely sure about it. There are legislators who are wearing bulletproof vests to go to work, when we're told ABC News last week. No one should be intimidated by someone who's bringing in an assault rifle into their workplace. Well, you're always going to have some asshole that's intimidated by that. I mean, I happen to have very extensive knowledge of firearms, and a lot of the people in my school are intimidated by that fact. Doesn't mean I'm literally just going to bring the freaking AR-15 with me to school. I'm gonna freaking get an answer wrong on the test and just open fire. It's not how it works.
Enemy at the cargo containers.
Newsweek reached out to Whitmer for comment. The story will be updated with any response. So far, I don't think there has.
Enemy is captured.
On May 13th, Democratic State Senator Mallory McMorrow revealed that she and fellow Democratic State Senator Dana Polanyi, I'm certain that I butchered that pronunciation,
Shield turret deployed. Drag out.
sponsored a resolution to prohibit firearms and dangerous weapons in public areas of the Capitol building and to install screening checkpoints. They have freaking screening checkpoints at Indy Hall in freaking Philadelphia, but they don't have them at the state Capitol building here in Michigan, in freaking Lansing. In what universe? We have an obligation to keep all visitors and workers at the Capitol safe. I can agree with that. Sure. I'm not gonna get mad at you for that. I totally agree. When I read some of the words that were published this week, it's not about staying at home. It's not about maybe losing your business. It's about spreading blood on the front lawn of this building. I'd be lying if I said that sitting in my chair with 4 men and rifles behind me would make me think that I was going to be dying from gun violence very soon. McMorrow said in a May 12th speech to the legislature.
We're at the HQ. Stand by.
Oh yeah, did I mention the fact that McMorrow a pro gun control Democrat?
We're at the HQ. Stand by.
I mean, they act like just the gun itself is just gonna go off at any given moment and kill you. Someone's got to be there to pull the trigger, and someone has to be able to get the gun in the first place and not have the trigger discipline. You know, don't shoot just randomly. Yeah, we're supposed to stand up here and say we're brave and we're not intimidated. She continued, but guess what? That's damned intimidation and it's not welcome. My question back is, what the hell are we going to do about it? Or do we wait until something happens? On Monday, Wimmer asked Vice President Mike Pence to discourage the ongoing anti-lockdown protests for fear that the participants might spread COVID-19 to her state's rural areas. Fair enough. Can't really get mad at you for worrying about that. Like, I totally agree. That's going to end up being a repercussion. People doing this, they're going to bring it back. They're going to end up increasing the need for a stay home, stay safe order, or at least an extension of the stay home, stay safe order, because that's what we currently have, and that's what these people are trying to fight against. It makes no sense. On April 29th, President Donald Trump offered support for anti-lockdown protesters by tweeting, "Liberate Michigan." Trump defended the tweet, saying that some state social distancing policies are too tough. Sure, too tough. I mean, yeah. I mean, mental health. Mental health is obviously a huge issue. People have already, like, there have already been at least a dozen news stories that I've read about people literally committing suicide because they can't handle the lack of social interaction.
Almost done here, ready up.
I mean, I happen to be one of the... working during this time, so I guess that's something. What he's saying when he has a Twitter following of millions and millions of people and gets instant coverage in the US and all over the world, very, very dangerous. McCord told Newsweek. There are people, armed people out here who listen to what he says and they act upon it in ways that are not always peaceful. Yeah. We have radical...
Location secured.
We have radical people on all sides of the political compass.
UHQ established. Enemy UAV overhead.
The following weekend, after an April 30th protest at the Capitol in which some protesters carried firearms, Confederate flags, nooses, and swastikas, Wimmer said the protests, I can't English, said the protests depicted some of the worst racism and awful parts of our history in this country.
Allied cruise missile away. They're capturing the...
First off, what in the actual balls
Enemy on the HQ, get over there.
does the freaking Confederate flag have to do with racism? I can see the Nazi flag having something to do with racism because the Nazis were literally trying to get rid of the Jews. They were trying to get rid of everybody that they deemed inferior to the Aryan race.
is open. Stand down, mate. Had enough for one day.
The behavior that you see in all the clips is not representative of who we are in Michigan. It's not representative of who all of us are in Michigan. We still have some idiots. Despite the demonstrations, polling has shown that a majority of Michigan residents support the strict lockdown measures put in place by Whitmer. And then we also have some other stuff happening. Alright, so another article, let's see. Let's talk about some things that are actually going to start opening up soon. Right here we have an article that says yeah, retail probably include in next wave of reopenings in Michigan, Governor Whitmer says. Retail and pet grooming business could be among those that are able to reopen by the end of the month. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer said during a Thursday, May 14th video interview with M Live. If the number of new cases of COVID-19 continues to decline over the next 2 weeks, the governor said retail will probably be in the next phase, which she hopes Michigan will enter into after the current stay-at-home order expires at 11:59 p.m. on May 28th. Set your calendars. Mark your calendars. Yes. So go ahead, mark your calendars. When the current order expires, and that's when we're gonna, and before then we're gonna end up having it extended to some point in June. If we continue to see our testing go up and our positive cases continue to decline, that would be something that would make sense in the next phase. But it also has to be done with appropriate protocols, meaning wearing masks, meaning keeping crowds down so people can remain 6 feet apart. All these are actions that employers and business owners are going to need to deploy in their workplaces. Retail businesses that sell groceries, medical supplies, and products necessary to maintain safety, sanitation, and basic operations of residences and motor vehicles have already been allowed to reopen. Other retailers have been given the green light to open, but only for curbside pickup and or delivery. Hey, at least we're getting something.
Securing Alpha. Get those positions. We're being dominant.
Enemy in the center.
We're on Bravo. Stand by. Domination. Capturing the base. Taking charge.
So,
Enemy at the cargo container.
I mean, I happen to work at an ice cream store, but luckily we're classified by our county as a carry-out place. It's like curbside pickup, carry-out, and delivery are all allowed to remain open. So like, you can go to GameStop and order a game online, and they'll literally meet you at the door so you can pick it up. In fact, that's actually how I got my copy of Zombie Army 4.
Enemy at the dumpster.
We're on target, stand by. Counter UAV on standby. Cluster strike is go for launch. Securing Alpha. Losing Bravo.
Ian Holland, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Michigan Retailers Association,
We're on Charlie, stand
said that she's hearing daily from retailers that they need to be open before Memorial Day weekend. And Memorial Day weekend 2020 is May 23rd through 24th. Last year was what, the 25th and 26th? And that was Sunday, and we all know how much I hate it. So many shop owners have seen their customers driven to shop online with little for the Michigan economy.
Securing B. Back up at Alpha. We're on Bravo, stand by. Got a personal radar drone ready for export. Cluster strike incoming. Securing B. Halfway there, step it up. Cluster strike is go for launch.
It's been a very discouraging time, so it would be a huge boost to reopen for the holiday weekend.
Loader 2-0.
Securing Bravo. Enemy personal radar in the air. Assist your team at Alpha.
Jaguar 3-0. Lambert action.
We're being dominated. Securing Charlie. We're taking Bravo. We're taking Bravo. We captured Charlie. Bravo secured.
By the time Michigan's current stay-at-home order expires, Wimmer said her fervent hope
Losing B.
is that the state will be ready to go into another phase where it can start to engage more activities. The state is currently in phase 3 of a 6-phase recovery laid out by the Michigan Economic Recovery Council.
Securing Bravo.
If I'm not mistaken, the state of Michigan is still number 3 in the country for highest number of cases. Maybe it got dropped down to number 4, but I'm pretty sure it's still number 3.
Personal radar drone ready for
But Wimmer said she would continue to work with the council made up of healthcare and business leaders across the state to support the different sectors of the economy based on their level of risk. Whether an industry is public-facing or needs to be done in a dense manner with people in close proximity to each other, is mainly conducted inside or outside a building and play a role in the industry's risk factors.
standby. Hostiles at Bravo, gone. Personal radar drone ready. We're holding Alpha. Counter UAV on standby. Personal radar in the air.
countries and activities with the least risk will be allowed to open first as officials gauge how they affect the state's COVID-19 numbers.
Got a personal radar drone ready for escort. We've got two objectives. Lock it out.
Jaguar 3-0 scrambling.
You're needed an aid.
Enemy in center.
If the downward trend continues, we can take the next step. Asked about pet grooming, Whitmer said maybe there's an opportunity to move forward, especially if it's a business without a lot of people working in close quarters. She said she's looking into that and other businesses for the next phase of reopening. The state campgrounds said being outside is a good thing for Michiganders as long as they maintain social distance. There's nothing to anticipate shared facilities like campsite bathrooms opening back up for a bit longer still. Oh lord, band camp. Only one person being allowed in the bathroom at a time. Freaking. We need to get my old drum major to come back just so we can try to shave the freaking motion activated sink again. The governor didn't provide an outlook for when she thinks recreational sports or summer camps will be safe. God! Looks like we may not have band camp. She said large gatherings like weddings, graduation parties, and other gatherings of those sizes probably aren't going to be safe for a while. So that explains why I haven't been invited to any graduation parties. The Warren does hope to allow gatherings of 10 or fewer people after May 28th as the new COVID-19 cases continue to decline. I'd like to take that next step. Maybe it's 10 or under, we can start to safely re-engage to help us with our social needs and our family needs and our mental health too. Looking to the fall, Michigan hasn't ruled out in-person schooling just yet. Which means maybe we will end up having a marching band after all. That's something I really want. I mean, I joke around saying that I hate everybody. But like, all the people like in our band, they're not even just my friends, they're like my family. Whoever said other states have extended bans on in-person instruction until January, but she wants to see more data before making a decision months in advance. Michigan's been under a state of emergency since March 10th, when the first cases of COVID-19 were reported. Since then, the Department of Health and Human Services has reported 48,391 confirmed cases of COVID-19, 4,714 deaths associated with the virus. Whitmer's first stay-at-home order went into effect on March 24th. I believe that was only until April 13th. It was set to expire April 13th because we all thought we were going to be over and we thought it was going to be all over and done with at that time. Boy, we're wrong. Since then, the department... Oh, wait, no, I already read that. It was extended through April 30th. Then again through May 28th. And then if they try to renew it again, I believe they won't be allowed to renew it past 14 days. So they'll only be able to renew it again until up to frick, what date? June 11th. So we all know Whitmer says, like, she issued the executive order requiring people to wear face coverings over their mouth and nose while inside enclosed public spaces. Never thought I'd see the day where I go into a bank and I'm asked to put a mask on. It's still really cool. Here's one from yesterday. Michigan. Here's one from CNN.
Headquarters. Capture each HQ as a HQ online. Secure it. Enemy on the HQ.
Whether you love or hate CNN, they are one of the world's most trusted and reliable news sources. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer said on Wednesday that the protests in the state's capital city against state measures meant to limit the spread of the coronavirus, making it more likely the state will have to keep restrictions in place longer. Appearing Monday on The View, Whitmer was asked about the pushback against her administration's coronavirus restrictions. There have been multiple protests in the state's capital city of Lansing in the past few weeks.
HQ captured. Stand by for new coordinates.
Including one last month that saw protesters.
Location confirmed. Security.
Some of them armed, entering the state capitol, screaming at law enforcement officers and not adhering to social distancing guidelines or wearing masks.
Friendly units online.
Let's be honest, people are freaking stupid and they deserve whatever they get.
Enemy care package inbound. HQ active to the location. They're capturing the HQ. HQ contested. They're capturing the HQ.
Well, she respects people's right to dissent, Whitmer said. The protesters are putting people at risk. The fact of the matter is, these protests, in a perverse way, make it likely that we're going to have to stay in a stay-at-home posture.
Enemy counter UAV online.
She said, go in and encourage anyone with the platform to call on people to do the right thing. Another protest against the state's stay-at-home restrictions was scheduled for today. And the fact that it was raining off and on all day kind of put a damper on most of the plans for that. I mean, there was still a bit of a turnout, but like, definitely could have been a lot higher.
New location on the way. Stand by. Location confirmed. Secure the HQ.
Yeah, a lot of the articles that you read, they all say the same thing. They all talk about all this stuff. I did see one, I think it was either last night Or
HQ active. Secure the
Yeah.
location. Enemy on the HQ.
7 News Detroit, WXYZ. Protests at the Capitol make it likelier the stay-at-home order will be extended. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer said recent protests at the state capitol will make staying at home longer even likelier. In an appearance on The View, Whitmer was asked about the Trump administration's response to the protests. These protests, in a perverse way, make it likelier we're going to have to stay in a stay-at-home posture. The whole point of them, supposedly, is that they don't want to be doing that. She says, these have been really political rallies where people come together there's a lot of people every pandemic, but it's certainly not exercise of democratic principles where we have free speech. How is it a political rally? In what universe does politics have anything to do with that? What, because Trump is president, he's a Republican?
HQ captured. Friendly UAV online. Stand by for next location. Location confirmed. Secure the HQ.
And you're a Democrat, it's political because they're against you, and Trump's supporting them? To an extent. Confederate flag's Nazi symbolism. And the Confederate flag, sure. I mean...
HQ online, get moving. HQ contested. Enemy UAV overhead. We're at the HQ, stand by.
Always talk about how the Confederate flag is racist. It's
Defend the area.
anyone... If you would have...
No reinforcements available.
If you support these people, you would have... If you own a Confederate flag now, you would have owned slaves back then. No, I live in Michigan.
Stand by for next
Under the
location.
Northwest Ordinance, there was never slavery allowed in the state. If I'm not mistaken, Illinois was allowed then, but Dred Scott was allowed. He was still a slave in there. And again, his his master was deployed there. But given how he was living in the free state of Illinois for a couple of years,
HQ online, get moving. Enemy on the HQ.
I mean, we all remember the Dred Scott decision.
Personal radar drone standing by.
Wait until I start talking about freaking U.S. history.
HQ contested. They're capturing the HQ. Enemy on the HQ.
Sure. Nazi symbolism, sure, I can... You can see where you'd be coming from with that.
Cluster strike incoming. Take cover.
Can't even really get mad at you. Yeah, the Nazis were bad people. You gotta stop the Nazis.
Personal radar drone standing by. HQ contested. HQ shut down, please. New location on the way. Stand by. Counter UAV on standby.
Oh, here's my favorite part. This is calls to violence. She said, "This is racist and misogynistic."
This is Falcon 3-0. Personal radar depleted. Recalling to base.
If you can find me any way which the freaking protests are racist and misogynistic, I will give you $10,000. You can't. You just can't. They are not freaking... They have nothing to do with racism. They have nothing to do with misogyny. We get it. We get it, Gretchen. You're a woman. You're the governor. If it was really about misogyny, they would have already recalled you as governor. You wouldn't even be in the office anymore. They wouldn't let you friggin' add any more to this friggin' stay home, stay safe order. They wouldn't allow that to go any further. They wouldn't let you give the response to Trump's State of the Union. They would have let someone else do it. They would have let a man do it if it was freaking misogynistic.
You're at the HQ, stand by.
Dear Lord, nothing makes any sense.
Seconds. Time's up. Move.
During the interview, she defended her stay-at-home order, saying the protests undermine the effort. While I respect the people's right to dissent, they need to do it in a way that is responsible and does not put others at risk.
HQ captured.
I'm gonna end it off saying that I absolutely agree. I mean, they're putting other people at risk, leaving the house to go protest. Not the fact that they're bringing the guns or anything that's making them risk their lives. The fact that, I mean, literally, the gun's not gonna fire itself.
HQ online, secure it. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy on the HQ. Yourselves up.
Seriously, it's just friggin' weird. All this stuff is... it's just messed up.